Good evening, beloved ones, and welcome. Today, Sunday, August, November 25th. Can you believe it's November already? And November's almost gone? Time flies is really not a wrong description of time, because truly time is really flying, and we are almost at the end of the year. We declared that this year would be the year of the magician, and so this key 19 is really all about us reaching that level of consciousness that allows us to be magicians and to bring into our lives the things that we long for, and to reach a higher level of understanding of ourselves and a mastery over the gifts that we have been given through our birthright. And so I thank you for joining me this evening as we begin this exploration. And we are going to be working this evening with key 19, and you have to forgive me, but it would not flip for me when I tried to set it up. It would not allow me to switch the image, so please forgive me that the cards are not going to be as they should be, but it's not my fault. I tried for 5 minutes. Technology, right? But I'm not complaining. We have this ability to be able to reach out to each other and to really bring about change that allows us to grow much more quickly, because we can have access to one another much more easily, and we can communicate and we can share and grow. So I hope that this week has brought you some insight, and I have to ask your forgiveness again because I took some beautiful videos and photographs this morning at dawn and sunrise, and spent several mystical hours out meditating on the sun, and my day got busy and I did not post them for you, but I will post them on the Charting Your Course page before I go to sleep tonight, so that you can share in that energy and take it with you into the coming week. You know that we are going into the last days of the full moon. And as I was setting out on the bayou today, I was looking at how the power of that magnetic force of the moon just makes the tide go out, and there's, I can see the earth that is beneath the bayou, and there are different heights of the levels. And this is a time when we are often challenged because we're feeling more emotional, and we have this magnetic force that's pulling on us as well. We often forget that we are probably about 70% water, so we are definitely under the influence of the full moon. But as we have been dealing with the joy of Thanksgiving, really at this full moon, take time to think about what you have to be thankful for this year. And as we prepare to go into December, how can we begin to plan for the next year? What did we complete? Where did we fall short of our dreams? What do we need to do to rechart our course so that we can come closer to meeting our goals and our dreams for 2019? And so I thank you again for joining me this evening. And as we move through this last exploration of Key 19, the sun, we're going to really be moving to another level with our meditation. We have switched from silver to gold, and that meditation that we do, the overall body exercise, which is Rosicrucianism 101, that's one of the first things that you learn, is how to really connect with your physical body and go into a state of meditation that allows you to give direction to your cells, because your body is designed to respond to your wishes. But it takes some discipline to really begin to develop the skills so that you can make that happen. And so we've been working with the white, silvery light of the moon. And the reason we were doing that was to prepare our bodies to be able to receive the higher vibration of light. So we began with key 16, as you remember, the tower, where we are hit by that divine lightning. We see the sun, and that sun is directing its force in such a way that it is changing us. It forces us to move to a higher level of vibration, even though it looks as though we are falling down. The truth is that we are moving to another level. So this key 16 was called the exciting intelligence, because it certainly shook things up. And the color was red, which is action, fire, right? So that's where we began on that second stage of spiritual unfoldment. We, of course, began with the devil card, the devil key, where we realized that we were in bondage voluntarily, that we always had the means to change and bring ourselves to a level of enlightenment. And when you look at these figures, you see that the chains around their necks are big enough for them to just lift them over their heads. But because they are in darkness, as you see by this black background, they do not have the consciousness to self-liberate themselves. And so the universe helps, divinity helps, by bringing that divine lightning bolt that then shakes us up and excites ourselves and brings us to a level of realization that we now must move and change. And that is what we begin to work on. And then in key 17, the star, we realize that it is through meditation that we can begin to understand what we need to be doing to go forward, to build a new tower that is in harmony with a higher level of consciousness, so that the practice of meditation is going from the darkness into the light to receive that revelation. And that is what we are looking for in that third level of self-realization or soul unfoldment. And then we come to the moon. And we know that the moon represents our subconscious mind. And this intelligence is known as the corporeal intelligence. And what that means is that we have to have changes within our physical bodies that will allow us to sustain a higher vibration. And so the meditations that we've been doing with the moon was actually working with the light of the sun, because the moon has no light of its own. But the vibration was stepped down at a rate where we could sustain it, we could receive it. And so now we have moved to key 19, the sun. And this is the collective intelligence. And so we see that we are now in this joyous state. When you see these images of these children, in Isaiah 11:5, it says, "The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them." So what do these naked children represent in our process of spiritual unfoldment? This is the 5th stage of spiritual unfoldment, and that's what we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to further examine the symbolism of this key and understand what was meant by "a little child shall lead them." And also in Matthew 18, it says, "He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, 'Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." That is from Matthew 18, verses 2 through 6. So this symbolism of the little children has to do with our reaching a level of Christ consciousness. And for many people, it is something that is unattainable. They think it almost heretical that you could even think of trying to reach a level of Christ consciousness. But the Master Jesus was teaching people exactly how to reach that level. The word Christ comes from the Egyptian word Christos, which means anointed one. So Jesus' name was not Christ, it was a title, meaning that he was anointed to carry out a work. And guess what? You too are anointed. And the Master Jesus tried to teach the people of Israel in that day and time that they had a responsibility to build the kingdom of heaven on earth through their words, actions, and deeds. So this is what we are speaking of today. And as I was out meditating this morning at dawn and watching the sun rise, I was thinking about a song by Todd Rundgren. He did an album called Ra in the 70s, I believe. And he wrote a song called The Seven Rays. And so when we're talking about the sun, we're talking about vibration. And you will see that there is a straight ray, which is radiation, direct. And then you have a wavy ray that represents vibration. And so we receive radiation into our bodies. That sunlight comes into our corporeal being, our body, and we begin to then vibrate with that energy. There is an Egyptian saying that I believe it was from Akhenaten, actually, and I've talked about Akhenaten a lot, who is considered by most to be the first monotheist in history. And he said the priests go out and wash their hearts in laughter. And so when you go out in the morning and greet the sun, you are really taking in that divine energy, because the sun is sort of like the divine eye through which we are receiving that energy. And that is why people have mistakenly said that the Egyptians worshipped the sun. The Egyptians understood the sun as a symbol of divinity, radiating its energy, its love, its power, its comfort. And the Egyptians especially, well, Akhenaten was the one who started painting or having carvings of the sun with outreached hands, saying that the sun is the giver of life for all on the planet Earth. So as we prepare to go into this discussion this evening about Christ consciousness and why the sun has been a symbol of Christ consciousness throughout the centuries in many religions, we must prepare ourselves to receive this vibration by bringing our bodies into attunement. So as of last week, we are no longer working with the silvery white energy of the moon, which is the light reflected from the sun. But now we should be at a level where we can receive this light directly from the sun in its full glory, so that we can begin to radiate and vibrate this energy out into the world and become an instrument of peace and a symbol of light. It is said that the eyes are the windows of the soul, and just by looking at someone, you can radiate love and peace and comfort and hope. The eyes are amazing. And that is why when we are looking at someone or looking at something, our eyes express the emotions that we are feeling. And in turn, our facial expressions reflect that emotional vibration. So I want you to think of that as we go forward. The symbols of the sun and the moon we have been studying throughout this year. We began with the magician, and we have gone through all of these keys, and we have seen time and time again that this symbol of the sun comes again and again. This is key 6, the lovers, and you see that the color is orange, which is the same as key 19, the sun. And when we spoke about this key, we spoke about the fact that, and please forgive me that the cards are not reversed. I had problems with my camera this evening. But when we discussed this key, we talked about the fact that the self-conscious mind, which is here represented by Adam, or the first man, the self-conscious mind, the mind that looks out upon the world and measures and makes judgments, the reasoning mind, the intellectual mind, must look to the subconscious mind, which is represented by the female energy, which is representative of Eve. And then you see that the woman is looking to the angel. And this angel is Raphael, the angel of healing. And what do you see? Above Raphael is the sun. So that the energy of the sun is being received by the archangel Raphael, and then is being radiated out and poured upon these two, representing the male consciousness, the reasoning consciousness, the self-conscious mind, and the subconscious mind, which is the mind that is operative 24 hours a day. It never sleeps. Your self-conscious mind goes to sleep when you close your eyes, but the subconscious mind is always watching and looking up to divinity, to that higher realm, for instruction and guidance and inspiration. And so this is the importance of writing down your dreams. As I have told you many times, that is the importance of preparing yourself for sleep, getting yourself ready to move to this next level of consciousness. And this is what the mystics of the ages have done. And you see this symbolism of the sun and the moon in every religion. And we see it in the orders like the Masonic orders. The symbolism of the sun and the moon is very, very important. We see it in mystical orders like the Rosicrucian order, the traditional Martinist order, and in BOTA, Builders of the Addendum, which teaches this ancient symbolism. The true use of the tarot is not for divination. It is to be used in order that you may reach a higher level of understanding of your divine design and how to work in harmony with the divine laws. And so it is through symbols that we are able to penetrate these secrets. If you want to hide something, hide it in plain sight. And only those who are ready to receive that knowledge and have the wisdom to pay attention will be able to penetrate what is locked and open it and utilize it for their growth. So keep that in mind as we now prepare to do our meditation. We're going to be working with the light of the sun. And so take a few deep breaths and get yourself comfortable. Just release some of the tension from your head and shoulders and wiggle your fingers and toes and get yourself comfortable where you are seated. And get some water if you need to. That's what I'm going to do right now. Excuse me. And just begin to take a few deep breaths and prepare yourself to go into the state of attunement with divinity through your body. We need our bodies. And I just want to say that there is a difference between religion and mysticism, and I've told you this many times. In religion, which means to retie, there is indeed an effort to have an attunement, but it is done through a mediator. So there must be a Krishna or a Jesus or a Zoroaster or a Buddha. But in mysticism, one reaches a level where it is realized that you can connect directly. And the Master Jesus, who through the Lord's Prayer taught us how to communicate, to speak, to have a conversation with divinity. And that simple prayer was so powerful. He didn't ask people to pray to him. He asked them to begin their prayer with, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So keep in mind that what you are doing through this body meditation is that you are attuning and connecting with the power that designed this body and brought it into being in this physical world. And so you are going direct. This is where the healing takes place, because our bodies are designed to obey us. But the problem is we don't know how to give the body instruction. And yes, there are people who are healers, who have really mastered how to radiate energy that they receive from the divine source. But what we are doing here is learning how to receive that light and radiate it throughout our own bodies. This is about mastership. And this is what the Master Jesus taught. He taught his disciples to heal. He didn't just do it himself. And I will say to you that if you'd like to do some further research, look up the Essenes, Essences. The Essenes were the mystical sect of Judaism. And so they were taught how to heal, how to work with the psychic senses. We have 5 physical senses, we have 5 psychic senses that are equivalent. And if I'm not mistaken, the first mention of Jesus' skills came when someone said they saw him in 2 places at one time. And those mystical skills are still being accomplished by people today. That's called bilocation. And so there are those who have those skills and those gifts. So just keep that in mind. And you too can develop these skills. And the Master Jesus told his disciple, you should do greater things than these. He never said he was the only one. He taught his disciples and sent them out. And so now, at this stage of spiritual unfoldment, you are now a child of the Son. You are reborn and starting a new journey. You had your initiation last week, and so now this is why we are working with the Son. So just take a few deep breaths. Relax. Get that tension out of your body. Prepare to just sink in. And with all these things that I have said to you, know that they are received by your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind will be working with them as we do this overall body meditation. So I want you to take a deep breath out, sucking in the stomach. Hold it out, and now take a deep breath in. And that breath should have gone right into the abdomen. So breathe out, sucking the stomach in. Hold it out, hold it out, hold it out, and now breathe in. Release that breath. Breathe all of the air out and suck in your stomach. Now take a third breath in. And feel that oxygen filling your lungs. And you should begin to feel yourself vibrating a little, because oxygen, as it flows through the bloodstream, increases the vibration. And it is said by the wise that illumination occurs in the blood. So keep that in mind. And you can close your eyes or leave them open or at half-mast if you wish. Place your hands on your laps, palms down. And allow yourself to sink into the body. And now visualize 2 golden suns, one under each sole of your feet. And feel that light of those 2 golden suns beginning to penetrate the center of the soles of your feet, and allow that light to begin to radiate through the balls of your feet, radiating out into your toes, radiating back of the heel, and feel that light surrounding both your left and right feet simultaneously. And allow those rays from those golden suns to penetrate every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve within both your left and right feet. And you may feel a tingling in your feet as your cells respond to that light. And give thanks that all is in divine order. Now allow the light of those two radiating suns to move up your left and right ankles, to move up into your left and right shins. Feel that radiating sunlight penetrating your calves and moving up and surrounding your knees, going into the joints so that every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve in both your left and right legs and knees are filled with this vivifying light, enlivening every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve, and putting it in divine order, and give thanks. And just breathe deeply in and out at your own pace. And allow that light, that golden light of the sun, to move through your left and right thighs, inner and outer. And feel that light radiating around your gluteus maximus muscles upon which you sit, so that you can see the golden light of the sun radiating from the lower portion of your body. And every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve is filled with this golden radiation of the life force. And we give thanks that all is in divine order. Take a deep breath in and allow this light now to begin to move up your spine. Feel that golden light warming every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve of your spine and radiating out into the nerve ganglions. And completely sending warmth throughout both the left and right sides of your back, so that every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve, and the spine and both sides of the back are filled with this golden light. And you feel that vibration moving all the way up from the base of the spine to the back of the head, through the medulla oblongata, which connects your spine with your head, with your brain. And let the warmth of that sunlight bring you peace as well as vitality. And breathe out. Take a deep breath in and feel those golden rays radiating down both your left and right arms, from the upper arms through the elbows and the lower arms and the wrist, radiating into the back of the hands and the palm of the hands. Feel that light radiating out through your little fingers, ring fingers, middle fingers, index fingers, and thumbs, so that both the left and right arms are radiating with this divine light of the sun, so that every single cell, tissue, muscle, bone, and nerve is in divine order. And give thanks for this healing light. Breathe out. Hold it out for a moment. Now take a deep breath in and allow this light to surround your head, so that your head becomes a sun. And see an aura of golden light surrounding your head, just as you have seen in the pictures of saints and masters. And know that you too have that light. It is the electromagnetic field of energy that surrounds you, that radiates from deep within. And see that golden light completely surrounding your head. And feel that light penetrating the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Feel that golden sunlight penetrating into your cerebrum and cerebellum. Feel that light penetrating your pituitary gland, the master gland that controls your autonomic nervous system, that keeps your heart beating when you sleep, as well as keeping your breath in motion. And let that divine sunlight vivify your pineal gland, that gland we often call the third eye, and see a light, a sun radiating from the center of your head, so that your head is a sun, and feel that light penetrating in through the eyes and back to the optical nerves, and feel that light flowing through your nasal cavities, opening up any blockages. And feel that light penetrating into your ears, so that that light brings you into perfect balance. Because it is within the ears that we have centers that are responsible for our balance. And allow that divine sunlight to radiate throughout your ear canals and deep into the inner ear, so that you are in perfect balance. Take a deep breath out and breathe in, and allow that light to flow down into your mouth, covering your teeth, tongue, and gums, and flowing down your throat, bathing your larynx and vocal cords with that golden light. And feel that light now moving into your chest. And just visualize a sun radiating in your chest. And feel that golden sunlight penetrating your lungs, filling it with white light. And allow that white light to be transformed back into that golden light, and let it penetrate your thymus gland, situated right between your lungs. And let that light penetrate your pectoral muscles, if you're a man, your breast, if you're a woman. And allow that light to flow into your diaphragm and into your stomach. And feel that light scintillating and vibrating throughout your chest. And allow that light now to move down into your large and small intestines. Feel that light penetrating your spleen, your pancreas, your liver. Feel that light radiating through to your back and surrounding your kidneys, so that that golden light flows through, bringing balance to the water element within your body as your kidneys move through and filter that water element. And give thanks that every single cell is vibrating with this heavenly sunlight. And just feel every single muscle in your body relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. And now allow that sun to radiate throughout your regenerative organs, filling them with light. And know that these regenerative organs serve more than just a purpose of reproducing physical life. But know that these regenerative organs have the power to transform energy and allow you to be regenerated, to be reborn. So allow that golden light to radiate. And now focus your attention on your heart. And see your heart surrounded by golden light. And this golden light is within the pericardium, which is the sac that holds the heart. It's filled with the lymph fluid that is so essential for the cleansing and detoxification of the body. And see that sun radiating, that light radiating into the left and right ventricles of your heart. Feel that light radiating through your veins and arteries, removing any blockages and allowing the blood to flow freely. And feel your blood cells being regenerated by this golden light. And feel the blood coursing through your veins, filled with light. And give thanks that every single cell is in divine order. And now radiate that light, that sun surrounding your heart, until the light fully surrounds your body, so that you are in a sphere of light. You are a sun. You are radiating this golden light, not only throughout your own body now, but it now radiates out into the room in which you sit. It radiates throughout your home, touching every single being within your home. Radiate this light out into the city where you live, into the state in which you live, because this light travels. The speed of light is swift. And know that you are working with this light. You are an instrument of this light. And give thanks for the opportunity to be of service as you radiate this light across the 7 continents and through the 7 seas. And allow that golden light to penetrate through the cosmos and see the planet Earth as a blue ball floating in the void, and now radiate that golden light to Earth and surround the Earth with a halo of light, golden light, vivifying light, healing light. And ask the God of your heart to help humanity in its quest for light. God of our hearts, God of our realization, we give thanks for this opportunity to come together to be instruments of thy divine light, radiating it out into the world, throughout the cosmos, because we know that this light is life itself. And we give thanks for being alive. We give thanks for finally arriving at a level of consciousness where we realize fully that we must be the light that the world needs. And we are so grateful that we realize that in our human imperfection, we are divinely perfect, because we all have a golden spark within us that is thy divine sun. It is our soul that is ever shining through. And give us the strength, the will, the love to radiate this light out into the world with every glance, with every breath, with every word, with every look, so that we become living suns in this world of darkness. As we work toward our perfection, we ask that we may have greater cosmic confidence to know that thy divine will is for us to reach the highest expression of divinity that we are capable of as we live on this earth as humans. We give thanks for this perfect body that you've given us, and we ask for the wisdom and the discipline to treat it as the temple that it is, a place where thy divine presence is ever present. And may we be priests and priestesses within this temple which is our self. May we be as children, innocent and pure and eager to learn and share and love. We give thanks at this time of the full moon for all of the blessings that we have received in this past month. And as we prepare to move into a new cycle of energy, we ask that we may be guided so that we can see how we need to rechart our course as we move into December and come toward the closing of this year. We give thanks for all thy many blessings and pray that we may truly appreciate this blessing of life and the opportunity to be of service to humanity. We send our love and our dedication to fulfill this mission to the best of our ability. So be it. Just stay a moment in this silence. Allow yourself to listen. Allow yourself to receive the benefit of the work that you have done. And slowly, prayerfully, humbly, innocently begin to bring yourself back into the consciousness of the place in which you sit, bringing with you all of the light that you have collected through radiating that light. For the more we radiate, the more we receive. And begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes and bring yourself back to the place where you are working your mission. And open your eyes when you're ready. And know that all is in divine order, and give thanks. I hope you are feeling that radiation of light. Sorry, I didn't mean to go so deep, but sometimes that happens, and it's a good thing when it does. If it's not, let me know. I need your feedback so that I know whether or not I am doing what I'm supposed to do, whether or not it is assisting you in your life mission, if it is helping you bring yourself to a more vibrant state of health, into a clearer consciousness, into a state of peace, because that is what we're after. And so, let's talk about key 19. Forgive me as I get some water. May take me a minute to get fully here. I'm a little bit out there. Okay. And so, we have been on a journey, beloved ones, and this journey of the year these past 11 months has brought us to a state where we are to begin again. And thus, this symbol represents that level of Christ consciousness. And you may say, well, I certainly have not reached any level of Christ consciousness. And to that I will say that we all have moments where we attune with an energy and we can feel that energy change us. Sometimes it's only for a moment that we feel it. Sometimes it's only for a moment that we see something in nature or in the face of a child, and we have that flash of recognition. We have that flash of higher consciousness. I call those mystical moments, and we all have them. We just must increase the duration of these experiences. And so we are able to do that through meditation. And you see that this key is called the star. And you do know that the sun is a star, right? The sun is not a planet. It is a star, and it burns, and it's hot. It is fire. And so this star now will mean something different to you, I hope. Because when we are talking about this Christ consciousness, we begin to come to that realization that the Master Jesus was trying to teach us, that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. And we're all designed for that experience. And the Master Jesus told us so. Here in the Western world, we are steeped in Christianity. But the Buddha basically said the same thing. And Krishna represented that higher consciousness. And the Buddha represented that higher consciousness. And there have always been those masters and avatars who represented that higher consciousness. And they were human, just like you, or they were symbols of humanity at large, so that we could understand that we were born equipped to do this work. We were born with potential. And so as we see this symbol and begin to really re-examine this symbolism, just remember that all of the ancients in every religion have sought this light. Every religion. And the reason I'm always talking to you about mysticism is that although many of the wars throughout the world have been fought because of religion, It is mysticism that melts away all of the differences. And every single religion has a higher level of consciousness and energy. In French, there's a wonderful word that's called egregore. And what that means is that there is a higher level of conscious beings who are constantly working within those various religions and lifting up those who are ready to receive greater light. And that is what initiation is all about. When you are baptized in a Christian church, that is an initiation. It is a new beginning. And what are you told? That you have been reborn. It is the same in all religions. And the reason why I am a member of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc is because I have the opportunity to come together with people from all religions, and we are all seeking what unites us, not what divides us. So on the level of mysticism, there is no division between anyone, regardless of religion, because there is only one source, and every single religion is attempting to connect with that source. And the closest representation that we have of that source is the sun, which is the star of our galaxy. So just keep that in mind. This Christ consciousness that seems so unattainable, or we're told that it's unattainable. We're told that there are those who reached it, but we can never reach it. You now have to begin to consider the possibility that what the Master Jesus told you was true. That you too can reach this level, and that you have flashes of it and you don't even realize it. Paul Foster Case talks about the stone wall that you see here behind the children, right? And he says, and keep this in mind, I'm going to show you that here in key 16, the tower, we see stone, right? And here in key 18, we see stone, right? And here we are at key 19, and we see stone. So Paul Foster Case tells us that whenever stone appears in tarot symbolism, we are to understand it as a reference to the Hebrew word Aben, and thus to the perfect union between the divine wisdom, which Kabbalists call Ab, A-B, the Father, and the one self of the entire human race, which they call Ben, B-E-N, which means the Son. Human speech which is this wall, is actually the manifestation of this union, because all personal consciousness is based on the indissoluble union of the cosmic life force, which is Ab, the Father, with the central self, which is Ben, the Son, seated in the hearts of men. Powerful statement, right? Let me read it again. Human speech, the wall, is actually the manifestation of this union, because all personal consciousness is based on the indissoluble union of the cosmic life force, Ab, A-B, the Father, with the central self, Ben, B-E-N, the Son, seated in the hearts of men. So what that is saying is that we are all sons of the Father, all of us. The Father is within me, and I am within the Father. We're inseparable. And within this Father is also the Mother. Thus we have the union of the sun and the moon. The sun, with its radiation, represents masculinity, and the moon, which reflects the light of the sun, is the femininity. The sun represents the self-consciousness on one level, while the moon represents the subconsciousness. And so there has to be this union between the two that will bring us to that higher level of consciousness. Paul Foster Case goes on to say, from the most primitive speech to the most highly evolved languages, humanity's word forms evolve as a direct consequence of the fact that the word maker is the central self. And that central self is humanity. We are building with these stones the world in which we live. And just keep that in your consciousness, because it is powerful. And I keep saying the word powerful because I want it to be in your subconscious mind. To know that this divine power is inseparable from you. It is as close as your breath. It is as close as your heartbeat. And when we do those deep breaths, we're breathing in that energy of divinity. I was out at dawn this morning before the sun rose, and it was just so amazing to experience the weight of the energy at dawn, because you can feel the energy in the atmosphere in the dawn. And I've been sharing with you that I have been studying Qigong for some time, and actually off and on for years. But I've now reached a state, because of where I live, where I've been blessed for a year and a half to have a very private space where there are usually no more than maybe not even 5 people on this property a day. And so it's a very pristine environment. So Qigong, which is the reference to Qi, the life force, the prana. Qi is the actual life force. And Gong is the practice. So it's practicing mastery of that life force. This is why I've been trying to teach you to breathe properly. For it is through learning how to breathe properly that you can connect more deeply with that life force. The first thing you do when you come into the world is take a breath, and the last thing you do when you go out is to exhale a breath. So is that not enough to tell you how important breath is? Nobody can control your breath but you. You have the ability to be the master of your breath. And breath is the doorway to meditation. When you gain conscious control of your breath, you open a door that allows you into an energy that will change you. It is through the breath. It's yours and nobody else can control it. So if you smoke cigarettes, just know that you're giving away your power, because those cigarettes take away your power. You can't reach your mastery of breath if you're smoking. And I don't care what it is you're smoking. Just think about that. And this is not judgment. I'm simply talking about mystical secrets. And I've been dropping little hints, and I've been trying to guide you as much as I can, not because I think I know so much. I know almost absolutely, positively nothing. And although I've been on this path for 40 years, I spent it's longer than that actually, because it began in my childhood, but it's not easy. And I don't want you to have to stumble as I did, or to go it alone as I had to do. And plus, I'm being pushed to do this. I could definitely be doing other things, trust me. But we share with one another, and by sharing this light, I receive more light. So there is a little bit of selfishness in this, because by trying to share this knowledge with you, I learn it more deeply myself. And that is my quest, to have this mastery over my breath, over my heartbeat, because when you control your breath, you can slow down your heartbeat and you become a master of your heart. Begins with the breath, moves to the heart, and then it begins to affect the brain. So keep that in mind. So let's get back to the symbolism of the sun and the moon. We've talked now a lot about the sun, right? So I want you to understand that each one of these tarot keys is like a step that we're climbing up a ladder. In Christianity, you've heard the story of Jacob's ladder, climbing up to the heavens. Well, that's what we're doing too. And do not doubt the power of the divinity within you. Do not doubt it. That is why I'm always talking about cosmic confidence. When you have that cosmic confidence, then you can tackle anything. You can heal yourself. You can correct your bad habits. You can educate yourself. There are Rosicrucians who have come from around the world who did not have the formal education, the opportunity to go to college. But through their studies with the Rosicrucian order, they studied science and mathematics and philosophy. And it is so wonderful to see these individuals, the people who taught me, who led me through my journey. Many of them were not formally educated, but the Rosicrucian teachings require that you study the structure of the universe, that you begin to understand those laws. You learn about music. Why? Because everything vibrates. And through mystical sounds, vowel sounds, you then can affect not only your own physical body, but you can affect environments. So they have received a mystical education. So we all are aware of Pythagoras, right? And he was a mathematician, and he said God geometrizes. You have to understand number, because everything is number. Everything is number, which is why I have tried to teach you about numbers. And again, I apologize for the reverse. I just couldn't get it right this evening. But understand that the moon depicts the path of evolution, and we see this path. And what color is this path? It's yellow. See it? And you see within this symbol both the sun and the moon united in perfect harmony. So the moon depicts the path of evolution, and the sun shows the result of the evolved human being. And that's who these children are. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And so this path that we start in key 18, we see the crawfish there, right? And you see the stones. Again, we see the stones, right? So let's look at the kingdoms here, because soon we're going to begin studying the tree of life. We're doing it indirectly right now. You just don't know that. But we know we have the mineral kingdom, which is represented by the stones, right? We see that. And we have the kingdom of plant life, and we see the plant life, right? We see the plants by the water. We see the green grass. And then we have the animal kingdom, right? And then the next kingdom is that of the human. So those 4 kingdoms, we evolve through those kingdoms. In the Hindu religion, through this concept of reincarnation, there is a belief that we all have evolved through these kingdoms, that we have been part of the animal kingdom before we became human. And so this whole belief of reincarnation is something that I would like to encourage you to now begin to examine. And this is why the meditation upon nature and the observation of nature is very, very important. And we see in Key 18, we see that we have a wolf and a dog. A wolf is a wild animal. A dog is an evolved, not symbol, but an evolved adaptation of the wolf. So we are looking at ourselves in that way as well. Some of us are just wild. We don't have any mastery of anything. We just do whatever the body feels like doing without any sense of responsibility to take care of what we have been given as sacred. And so as long as we are in this wild, wolf-like state, and we all have gone through that most likely in our teens, right? In our young adult life, and as teenagers, we were wild. And often there are those who never make it through their teens because they leave the world quite soon through accidents and drug overdoses, and all kinds of horrible things happen with that wildness. And so as we grow, we realize that we have to become more adaptable and live within the world of humanity and learn how to live within a family. We have to learn how to live within a community. We have to learn how to live within a group. We have to learn how to live in a way that we can adapt ourselves to whatever circumstances we are placed in. So we have to become more refined. And as we grow older, we become more refined, right? And so that is the quest that we're on. So the sun and the moon are a pair, like this girl and boy. Female representing the moon, male representing the sun on the lower level, right? And so I just want to read to you what Lauderhan has to say about the sun and the moon. He says, the moon governs the mind aspect of things. The sun is the heart that is literally pumping life into us all the time. We must always remember that these two are not separated. These two, the sun and the moon, are not separated. The mind evolves bodies, but the only thing that makes this possible is the indwelling spirit. This moon-sun team has done a remarkable job of evolving 9,004,5,772,386 species, let alone bodies. Fertility and sterility are the pair of opposites that are assigned to this particular key. And sterility happens when the spirit lacks substance. We cannot grow. We become stunted. Our spiritual growth becomes stunted. We become sterile and incapable of giving birth to anything. We're sterile in spirit. So, this key is instructing you how to be fertile. It is through the sun that everything grows. Without the sun, nothing can grow. Nothing. So keep that in mind, that this symbol of the sun, this divine light, this energy, this divine energy is ever present, and we need it desperately. Now, what immediately comes to mind, and I'm sure that there may be some of you who are thinking it, what about those deep sea creatures who live thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of feet down into the bottom of the ocean? There's no light there, but of course there's light. There's light everywhere. Where you think there is darkness, there is light. And what is interesting about these deep sea creatures is that they are lit up. When divers go down and they see these incredible prehistoric looking fish and other beings down there, because they are beings, they're all lit up. They're full of light. It's amazing. So light is everywhere. Even in the depths of the ocean, that divine light penetrates and energizes and provides light through the darkness. That's deep, right? Just keep that in mind. I think that's amazing. Lauderhand says the sun without the moon is a waste of time. I love him. Occultists all over the world understand that it's the fire and the water that brings about the life process. It's the fire and the water together. And what happens when you have fire and water? You have steam. Makes everything go. That's what life is about. He goes on to say, add water to the sterility of the desert, and you've got the incredibly fruitful Imperial Valley in California. I'm thinking of Israel and that desert and how they've been able to irrigate it and grow wonderful fruits like oranges, and I understand that they have incredible tomatoes. So the sun and the moon are absolutely inseparable. Your self-conscious mind and your subconscious mind are absolutely inseparable. You got to get that. You got to work with that. And that is a mystical secret. Because it's through this process of sleep that we begin to correct and collect this divine light. We begin to collect this divine light which changes us. And so, I have told you that each one of these keys has an intelligence, right? And the sun is called the collective intelligence. And this is what Lauderhand has to say about this key and its intelligence. The sun key is the collecting or collective intelligence. It gathers us all in one warm embrace, shining equally on everyone. As far as you are concerned, the collective intelligence within you is a focus for all the powers that exist. Cosmic forces are brought together and expressed in a joyous dance. This is a lofty summit in any individual's career because it signifies emergence from a whole set of obstacles. One of our major problems was fear. Now, love takes the place of fear. Cosmic consciousness. Don't you see these two are in love? You see nothing but love. Look at that innocence. You see them holding hands with one another, right? And this sun that we see is indicative of that force that is always present, always working, always in play, so to speak. And I'm going to have to refresh your memory on one thing, and that is the fact that we all begin our journey as the Fool, right? This is the first tarot key I taught you about. And you see that Fool is starting on a journey, right? And you see that white sun behind the Fool, shining that light so the Fool can see where he's going. And that Fool has his sight on something higher. He's not even worried about the edge of the cliff because there's always one more step. That's a fool, right? A fool has to have confidence. Some of the greatest minds and mystics have been considered fools, and people laughed at them and said, what you are talking about is not true. It's absolutely impossible. I think of Nikola Tesla, who was so brilliant, who died in poverty, whose bazillion patents were taken when he died because he was a genius. But people couldn't see that. They didn't believe that. And now we know that Tesla was right on point. So when we began our journey with the tarot, the sun was the first symbol that we saw, right? That white sun. And Lauderhand describes it this way. I love his description. It's the white sun of the limitless light, the mystical spiritual source of which our solar friend is a direct expression. So that our physical sun is a direct expression of that limitless light, that mystical spiritual source. This is why Akhenaten said, you must go out in the dawn and greet the sun, because it's a direct expression of that divine sun. He goes on to say, the most uneducated person anywhere on earth can relate to the sun. There it is. It's our day star, the cosmic instrument for maintaining life in the three-dimensional world, which it does faithfully and well. And as I explained, it does much more than supply energy like a mechanical robot. It supports the intelligence of beings from its own intelligence. That's pretty amazing. It's an intelligence. Keep that in mind. And so now let's talk about the sun as a symbol of the Christ consciousness. And in the Christian tradition, it is a symbol of the Master Jesus. Now, the reason why I'm talking so much about Christianity is because many Christians will say that the tarot is evil, or that it is some kind of dark magic. They don't understand that the cathedrals and temples that have been built around the world are full of these symbols. And the tarot is a collection of these symbols that will allow you to begin to understand the laws that govern the universe and your own divine instruction. Your own divine instruction. There is a divine influence within you, a divine spark that is always there to lead and guide and instruct you. Mysticism says you can go direct. You don't have to have a mediary. Buddha can't control your breath. Krishna can't control your heart. You are the one that has the potential to master the laws that govern your breath and govern your heartbeat, that govern the way that you think. That's what this is all about. So, why is the sun symbolically associated with the Christ? And the Christ means the anointed ones. You get that from the Egyptians, don't forget that. And you know that Moses was an Egyptian initiate, right? You do know that, right? Okay. Lauderhand says, symbolism tries to explain how things operate in connection with ourselves. It's educational. Symbolism is educational. That's what I've been telling you, right? The Rosicrucians have an expression. Jesus was actually Jesus mi hi omnia, which means Jesus is all things to me. To the Christian mystics, Jesus symbolizes their inner self. Let me read that again. Jesus is all things to me means to the Christian mystic that Jesus symbolized the inner self, the master within. This is the all-encompassing truth. They don't need anything else. The higher mind is the instrument of salvation. We get saved through our own effort, through changing our thinking, through changing our speech, becoming greater masters of our bodies. Jesus said we must be like little children, right? To enter the kingdom of heaven. I had that quote. I think I read it to you already about, and a little child shall lead them. Yes. So Jesus said that we had to be like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven. And I love the way Lauderhan expresses this. He said, a child is like a bulb that is deeply planted in the ground. Its job is to get through the soil and up into the light. Children have to push hard because most of their learning is negative. You don't do this, you don't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. In spite of everything their parents say, they grow anyway. Eventually, they can look at their parents' negative suggestions and ask, where did they get that information from? Who told them? There's no law against getting to the age where you can think and look and form intelligent opinions about life. There's no law against getting to the age where you can think and look and form intelligent opinions about life. No matter what anyone has told you, you are now at the state where you can begin to form intelligent opinions for yourself. You don't have to believe everything you've been told. You are now at a level where you can begin to experience for yourself. And I was thinking about the Christian mystic. I told you that every religion has a level of those who have gone beyond the confines of their religion into the mystical realm where there is no difference. And Saint Teresa de Avila was a nun who was so devout in her worship that she began to have mystical and psychic experiences. It is said that she could levitate. She developed those powers through what? Becoming a master of her breath, becoming a master of her heart, becoming a master of her mind, and giving it all over to the divine for guidance. There are mystics in every religion. And the Master Jesus was trained in the mystical order of the Essenes, which was the mystical level of the Hebrew religion. In Islam, the mystical level are the Sufis, who twirl and dance, and whom Rumi, one of the greatest poets, it is said the most read poet in America is Rumi, R-U-M-I. And you know that I'm always sharing quotes from Rumi on my Facebook page, right? So we are now, at this level of self-liberation. Just like we started with the first stage, realizing that we're in self-conscious bondage, and all we have to do is take that chain off our necks, right? That's all we got to do to be free. And so this self-liberation that we are seeking is simple. Lauderhan says this, and I just love this. You can be happy and secure because you know you are a child of the Son. You have made the effort to understand yourself, especially in the all-important matter of self-definition. You defined who you are. When you arrive at the correct idea of what we are, guess what happens? Regeneration takes place. There you have it. We become new creatures, as the mystics say. We open our minds to the idea that there is intelligence everywhere. And we realize that the entire universal energy display is for the enjoyment of the self. Liberation is an ongoing proposition. That's what it's about. So you see here, we've talked about the wall. We've talked about the symbolism of the sun. You see that there are 4 sunflowers here that are in full bloom. But there is a 5th that is not quite open. It's just a bud. And this is who we are. We are born again. We are regenerated. And we are becoming citizens of the 5th kingdom. That's what we are doing. And these yods that you see, these represent that divine life force radiating from the sun. And when you add 1 and 9 together, what do you get? When you add 1 and 9 together, you get 10. And 10 is 1 plus 0. And we begin our journey with the Fool, right? And what was the Fool? 0. So what's this 0 we're talking about? Well, if you look at the sun, you'll see that there's a radiation, right? And there's a center. And if you look at the ground where these children are, it is the reflection of that sun. It is a big 0. And what is that 0? That 0 is the potential that's there. That's what that 0 is. That 0 is what we are. We've got 1 foot in that divine center, and we've got 1 foot here on earth as we are trying to find our way through all of the possibilities. So, the sun represents life itself. And Lauderhan explains it this way. The ultimate source of everything is life itself. This is symbolized in Key 19 by the 0 figure where the children dance, which is said to be a magical fairy ring. In some cultures, it's called the ring pass not. So, in Kabbalah, a circle always stands for the great no thing, the underlying reality from which life continually draws in order to move forward. The regenerative aspect of life doesn't come from what's already there. It comes out of the big 0. I love that. From our conventional point of view, this is negative existence. From a philosophical point of view, it is the ultimate positive, the matrix of everything. It is the source of all the apparent representations in the universe. It's indescribable, It's mysterious and it does everything. This is the ring pass not. So when you add 0 to anything, it remains the same in mathematics. But the truth is, there's potential. That 0 represents potential. Do you want to stay at that number? Or do you want to go to the next level? That 0 allows you to go to that next level. That's what we're talking about. So you see this symbolism here, which represents our journey now as we have moved to another level of consciousness. And don't doubt that you have moved to a new level of consciousness. Meditate on this key in the coming week so that you can be aware of how you have changed. Okay? All right. We're almost out of time, but I do have time to tell you about the letter. We always have a Hebrew letter, right? And the Hebrew letter here is called Resh. R-E-S-H. And the word Resh in Hebrew means the head or face of a man. Whenever we see the sun in the old mystical symbolism, isn't there always a human face in that sun? So this Hebrew letter Resh means the head or the face of a man. So I talked about controlling your breath, controlling your heart, and controlling your head. So what is your head? Your head is where everything is collected. It's a grail. This is the Holy Grail right here. Isn't that like a cup? Look at the neck and look at the head. It's a vessel that can be filled with that divine light. And that is what we do when we do our overall body meditation. We fill ourselves up. So this grail, this vessel, we want to fill. Our sight is here. Smell is here. Taste is here. Hearing is here. And through our hands, we have touch. And 5 plus 5 is 10. And we're back to the potential again. It is through using our hands that we change and mold everything in our environment, right? Know what you've got, beloved ones. You are magic and divine in your design. And that is not intellectual. And so, you're new. You have been reborn. And we will soon begin a new journey. I hope that I have taken you to another level of understanding about Christ consciousness and your responsibility. And just know that all is always in divine order. I say that to you all the time, but it really is the truth. No matter what is happening, you have the tools to divine That's where divination comes in. You have the tools to receive that light that can dispel the darkness of your confusion and your doubt, so that you can receive the truth about what is happening in your life. And what may seem like the most horrible, horrible thing that could happen to you could be your liberation. So, my beloved ones, I want to thank you for joining me this evening. I truly hope that I have been of some service to you. And I ask you in all humility and sincerity to consider yourself reborn and ready to take on a new expression of life. We know that here on the planet Earth, winter is coming, right? But the winter is really the birth of the new beginning. And so you can begin to understand now that Christmas is about the sun returning after the darkness. We're coming to that time, and you're a step ahead. So I'm going to post for you some of my experiences this morning, and I send you off with love, with light, with hope, and I hope with a little bit of excitement in there. Know that you are loved, know that you are appreciated, and know that all is always in divine order. You know, I love you.